Are you craving a good movie? I am too, but unfortunately Sony gave us this movie instead, so we'll just have to make do. Let's get into this. Welcome to the Cinefanatics. My name is Robert Adams, and today I've got a spoiler-free review for Kraven the Hunter. Before we get started in this, let you know, I know it's been a hot minute, stuff has been going on here, but we're back with this review, so just make sure you follow us on all the social media things. You know, the Twitter and the IG and the TikToks, and apparently we now have the Blue Sky to worry about. So yeah, follow us and all that. Make sure you hit the subscribe button down below and like this video, and thank you very much for doing that. Getting into this movie, again, I'm not a huge fan of this Sony Spider-Man villain universe that they've created. I've said it multiple times, like doing trailer reactions and the reviews for the previous movies. These movies don't need to exist. It's a real simple concept that I feel like you look at the source material, the comic books. Kraven, for the most part, for a while, he didn't have his own single comic book. He was always just a side character, a villain to Spider-Man. He really doesn't do anything out on his own other than, say, like Kraven's Last Hunt storyline from the comics. Even so much as like the 90s Spider-Man the Animated Series. There was an episode where Spider-Man had mutated into a giant spider, and pretty much the entire episode is relying on Kraven to rescue, to save him. So that one was more of like all Kraven focused, and it was a pretty good episode. Even though, also giving you some insight, I'm not a huge Kraven fan. He wasn't one of my favorite characters. Just kind of like, alright, cool, you hunt people and things and creatures, cool, we got it, you're a hunter. This really wasn't that interesting when you've got characters that have like robotic octopus arms or are in a completely enclosed in a rhino suit, which is also not done properly in this movie, but whatever. I wasn't really big on that character. Now, watching the first trailer, I was like, whatever. And keep in mind, this is the first trailer that came out, like, 5 years ago or something like that. It's been well over a year that this movie, when this movie was supposed to come out. So now we finally got it, and at least the last trailer, when they were like reintroducing it to us, like, hey, by the way, this movie's still coming out, and they gave us that like red band trailer that had like a lot more violence and gore in it. That one at least made it look interesting. At that point, there was enough for me to go like, all right, hold up, let's actually give this a shot. Keeping in mind, Sony is still the same studio that has given us all those Spider-Verse movies, so there is some aspects of this that they could be doing correctly. And this trailer didn't look awful. It didn't really give me anything that I was going to be like, ooh, yeah, this is going to be a good movie. But it wasn't necessarily saying like, hey, this is going to be a god-awful movie. It didn't say any of that. So I did go into this movie with a little bit of hope and thinking, maybe this might be one of the ones that redeems it. Seems kind of like baseline. Doesn't seem like it's doing anything too weird or out there. And for the most part, I feel like I was correct. You got good actors in this. Russell Crowe, Aaron Taylor Johnson, Ariana DeBose. Great actors. I'm just wondering if they read the actual script that was used in this movie before filming this movie, because I have to wonder, like, what did y'all read? When I hear of actors deciding to take a role, what I typically hear is that they get a copy of the script over the weekend or so. They sit down, they read the script, and then like on Monday they're like, yes, I will be in this movie. What did they read? Because this script is the biggest problem with this movie. There's a couple of others, but I think the script is the number one big thing. I'm watching this movie, and at some point I'm like, what? Something's wrong with the script. I couldn't quite figure out what it was. It's like, what is it? And then it dawned on me. The dialogue felt very much like,
oh, hi, Mark.
And I was like, oh, this is The Room. This is Tommy Wiseau's The Room. I wouldn't be surprised if Tommy Wiseau was one of the screenplay writers on this. He's not, unfortunately, but at least that would have given us some kind of an excuse as to what was presented for us. I did go to a press screening. It was all press that was in the theater room, and what's great about that is these are, for the most part, these are people who are used to watching movies and analyzing movies while still being entertained, and the room just erupted in laughter at dialogue and scenes that weren't inherently funny. It was people laughing just because of the absurd nature of, did you really think that was a line that a person would say and not giggle or think it's weird or out of place? Like, this isn't how people generally talk. You want a fun drinking game? Every time someone asks Sergei Kraven, how did you find me? And he's like, well, I am a hunter. Or anytime that's brought up, how did he find you? How did he find you? How did he find you? He's a hunter. Take a drink. And hope you have a designated driver to get home. But, like, it's little weird dialogue like that. Ariana DeBose is a lawyer, apparently. Just weird things that they decide to say, and like part of it I feel like is in the exposition dialogue. Like, this dialogue is very heavy to get us caught up on what's going on. There are times where, like, the movie begins with like a flashback to when Kraven was a little kid and he gets attacked by a lion. Ariana DeBose's character rescues him with like some magic potion or whatever, and then we fast forward to like years later, and Kraven just randomly finds Calypso, Ariana DeBose's character, and was like, hey, you're the one who rescued me. Like, how? You have nothing. Yes, I get that you're a hunter and you can find people, sure, but we didn't see that process. We don't know how he tracked her down. So, like, it's mystifying to the audience as to what is actually going on here. Other things, some of the CGI looked a little weird and wonky, especially in regards to the main villain being the Rhino. When he transforms, the CGI just, it's not great. It's sometimes, in some cases, I feel like it gives off like the large Sandman at the end of Spider-Man 3 when he's like the giant Sandman that's as tall as the building that's being constructed. That face, it looks pretty decent from the far away, but like on the close-up, it just doesn't mesh well. And that's not a knock against like the actual sand effects that they used in that movie when he was first turning into Sandman. Those still look fantastic, but it's just really weird looking. It looks like some weird cartoon that just doesn't actually belong. And then, yeah, a lot of the rest of it, it seems like, especially the rated R-ness of this movie, it looks like it's stuff that was thrown in after all of the negative press about Morbius and Madam Web. They were going back and like, cool, we need to go back and fix some things. Let's put some edge to this movie. Let's throw in a couple of F-bombs. Let's have like one or two scenes of like some real quick violence, some blood spurts, someone hits a tree and explodes and blood and guts go all over the place. Let's throw that in and see if maybe the audience is more receptive to that. And you can tell it was forced in there. Other than that, the language and a little bit of the blood and violence, this was a PG-13 movie. Like, easy. So you can tell that was added on later. Also, your ADR that we had from Madam Web, it's back again. Some of it is used in Sergei's character, his brother's character, Dmitri. That he's the chameleon from the comic books, and pretty much the entire movie, the only thing we know of him is that he's able to throw his voice. He's able to disguise his voice and mimic everyone else. And that's where there's a lot of ADR in there. There's a couple of scenes that had some ADR that was like pulled back, but you could still see, like there was one, like Ariana DeBose's character was in like a silhouette, but you could still see her mouth, and her mouth wasn't moving while you heard her talking. The whole theater, again, is just laughing hysterically because it looks so bad. So we got that back in this movie. Overall, like, this movie is entertaining. I am more likely to rewatch this than I am Morbius or Madam Web. I've not seen Morbius since it was in the theaters. I will probably never watch that movie again. Madam Web, Saw it in the theaters, still haven't watched it, have absolutely no plans to rewatch that movie at all. This is a movie that would be fun to rewatch with a group of people. Get people together, get some drinks going on if that's your thing, and just have a blast just laughing at this movie. The absurdity of it, the dialogue, just everything that this movie didn't want you to laugh at is what you end up laughing at, and I think that does make it for an enjoyable experience. So, otherwise, if you're looking for a good, solid comic book movie, this ain't it, yo. This ain't it at all. So, that's my thoughts. I don't recommend this movie unless you're, like, inebriated or want to be inebriated and you just want something for you and your friends to laugh at. Otherwise, this movie is just... So, perfect cap on the Sony Spider-Man villains universe, which apparently they said that this will be the final movie that they make, which thank God. Also of note, there was what was a report like a couple of days ago that Sony pulled this movie from like 1,000 theaters or so right before it actually gets released. That should be a big sign that something is going wrong. So that being said, if you're a fan of the comic books and stuff, you're probably going to go see this anyways, regardless of what I say. But yeah, this is not a good movie, but it is unintentionally funny. So watch it for that and that alone. Anyways, what did you think of this review, or what do you think of the movie? If you've already seen it, let me know down below in the comments. Again, while you're down there, make sure you hit the like button and subscribe. Come follow us on social media. We are at The Cinefanatics on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. You can follow me. I haven't done this in a while, so I'm going to re-say this. You can follow me at RCA Reacts on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Letterboxd, also youtube.com/@RCA Reacts. I am currently working on a video that I will be pumping out there probably, I want to say like in the next week or so, but it's more likely going to be about another month for me to really sit down and pull all this together as to what's actually happening with me and everything. So make sure you go subscribe over there, so when that video comes out, I would love everyone to watch that video. It's going to be very informative. Also, we are on Blue Sky at The Cinefanatics and at RCA Reacts on Blue Sky. So if you've been hopping over to that new app because of everything that's been going on with Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, go check us out over at Blue Sky and make sure you follow us over there. Anyways, that's going to do it for this review. Thank you for watching it. We'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye. Oh, hi, audience.